Welcome to Tya Talk. I am David Strickle, creator of the Tya Mindset Practice. I am going to share some exciting new ideas around the Tya practice today, some clarity that I've received, and our whole collective Tya journey that we've all been on together since we started this practice back in 2018 when we started Tya Boot Camp. And what I've noticed is we have a lot of people that are still around in our community, in our Patreon community, and our alumni community from the Tya Academy that are having a similar experience. You go through Tya Boot Camp, you go through what we now call the Tya experience, you learn the practice, you start detuning transgressors, you start a meditation journey if you're not already on one. You begin allowing more source consciousness. You start detuning your ego and you start living with greater intention. Those are the pillars of the Tya practice. And what is unique about the Tya practice is we do those things, those four pillars that I just mentioned, we do those four things in unison as a way of life. That's how we operate our life. It's our lifestyle. And what that creates for us is this awakening journey. You hear about spiritual awakenings. I am not terribly into what you might call mainstream spirituality. I have experienced all of that stuff. I've dabbled in quite a bit of it. And I have found that the practicality that is delivered by the stream, that source consciousness is actually very practical. And what I call the energetic realm, what is beyond what we see in 3D physical, is actually very simple. It's not this really out there complex thing. I'm not experiencing it that way, at least when I channel the stream. And what I have found is that these very practical things performed daily, all day long, is your new mindset really change your life. It moves you out of what, and I do like a lot of the spiritual terminology, 3D, 5D, things like that. I understand very well what an awakening is, what a Kundalini energy awakening is, what moving from a 3D reality to a 5D or whatever you want, however you want to label it, reality is. I understand all of those things very well because I have created that journey for myself. And what I do in the Tya practice is I share how I created that journey for myself, because I definitely encountered lots of different spiritual teachings in my own journey to channeling the stream. And when I started channeling the stream, I shut all of that stuff down and just went inward with the stream. And of course, I taught myself how to write and speak that message, and that's how I channel today. And in doing so, I created this thing kind of unknowingly, this practice, because all of these ideas that were dropping into my mind, and even all the things I was hearing from other channels, they made sense, but I didn't know how to apply them. And some of the things didn't even make sense in the beginning. Some of the things I didn't really understand. It was too out there. It was just too high of a concept for me to really grasp when I was a beginner in all of this stuff. So I created a practice really for myself, and it completely transformed my life over a 10-year period. I started teaching it to other people really on the podcast in 2017. And then when I launched Tya Boot Camp, I started officially teaching it to people in 2018. And since that time, we have seen over 100 graduates, probably closer to 200 graduates all over the world from all walks of life, transform their lives with this practice. And what we see are 3 stages, and you can't jump ahead to the stage without doing the work. We talk about all the time how this is work, detuning all of the things that we've picked up throughout our lifetime, that the belief system that we create for ourselves. It took a lot of work to create that. However old you are is how many years you've been likely creating that matrix for yourself. And it's going to take a little time and a little work to unravel that, to detune those elements that you don't want to keep around. Certainly there's things that you pick up along the way that are positive, that you believing in yourself, wanting to experience, your life journey, the earth environment, wanting to travel, wanting to experience new things, wanting to grow as a being. That's why we come to physical in the first place, is to expand our consciousness and become more sophisticated versions of ourselves. That's why we're in this physical journey of contrast. That's why we have problems. That's why we have things to solve. That's why we have things that are not our preference that we encounter. That's never going to change. We're not moving to some state of perfection. That's what non-physical is. We wouldn't have a physical environment and have it be perfect because there would be no reason for it. We wouldn't choose to come here the way that we do if we were just looking for this perfect journey. But of course, I understand that the things that are not our preference, the things that we don't want to see happening to ourselves or other people, those things very often are painful to observe in our judgment of them. But what Tya does is delivers you the tools to do all of these things incrementally. So you're allowing more source consciousness in, and the more you allow source consciousness to come in and be your inner guidance, the more you're going to understand what non-judgment really is. Because the matrix, when I refer all the time to the matrix, the collective human belief system, the very ego-centered belief system that we have to get into this sort of template of life and we have to do certain things, or we're not worthy, or we're less than, or there's some sort of negative judgment that we hold against ourselves because we're not looking the right way, our body's not the right shape, we're not the right age, we're not youthful anymore, perhaps we weren't born into the right set of parents. Maybe we were born into a really screwed up family where we suffered a lot of abuse early on. And then we took that vibration of abuse and took it into adulthood and continued things of like nature. And we think, gosh, life is so unfair. You're born into these horrible conditions, and then your whole life is just pre-written that you're going to have this horrible life. But that's not true. That's not true. I and many other people that I know now have taken these challenging circumstances from early in life and turned them into gold as adults. You can do that. You can absolutely do that. In fact, I think a lot of those things that happen early in our lives that really take us into the muck, those things are creating an opportunity for us to become more sophisticated versions of ourselves, of our eternal selves. Coming and experiencing adversity, coming and experiencing things that are not our preference, and figuring out how to move toward our preferences. So that's why I want to get into the 3 steps of the Tya journey that I am really becoming aware of now. I am, 12, 13 years into what I would call my Tya practice. Everyone else that practices this has been in it for 3, 4 years or less. And I see us all collectively on this journey. And the interesting thing about this is it seems like once I experience something in the creation of this practice, even though it takes me years and years and years to get there, when I start teaching it to other people with what I know, now they're getting there within weeks and months, which is amazing. So it's like the knowledge is created, and then that becomes the new reality, and other people are able to step forward into that new reality and move through this process in a much swifter fashion than I did. It just took me time, and maybe it took me time because I'm very stubborn. I have had the stream flowing through me my entire life. I know that now. Very, very deep knowledge of the energetic realm, very deep source connection, but I was very stubborn in my application of it. And I decided I wanted to use it, pick and choose, and use it for specific things, kind of like religious people do in their religions. They kind of pick and choose the things that they really want to pay attention to. I did the same thing with the stream. I had it in me. I had all of this knowledge, and there were things that my ego just was not yet ready to let go of until I finally did. And when I had that journey, I think some people would call that the dark night of the soul, into really having to let go of everything that my ego told me that I needed. Everything. Material things, health, relationships. I went through that period in just about 2 or 3 years. I went through a period of manifesting everything you could ever want, and then demanifesting it, and then seeing it show back up again in various ways, even better than before, which is really what vibrational flow is all about. But this Tya Talk is not about vibrational flow. We'll do others about that. What I want to talk about is the 3 steps. And the first step that we do, and this is if you've been through boot camp, the first thing that we start working on in the boot camp journey is detuning your matrix. Basically, you're detuning the matrix. We talk about detuning your ego and detuning your transgressors. Detuning is all about learning to experience things or view things from a higher perspective of non-judgment. So it's essentially learning to appreciate all that is. And when people are really, really new to these teachings and we talk about appreciating all that is, inevitably the very worst things that we experience in our world are danced down in front of us. Well, what about how do you appreciate children being, abused, and how do you appreciate mass murder, and how do you appreciate dot dot dot, whatever it is? Well, when we're talking about appreciation, first of all, we're not necessarily talking about celebration. Oh my gosh, it's great. Another mass shooting. That's wonderful. Of course, we're not talking about that. But we are talking about understanding it from such a high level perspective that you're no longer judging it. You've detuned the judgment of it because you understand it so deeply. There are probably things in your background that you judged harshly until you had a deeper understanding of them, or until you experienced something of like nature yourself. And then suddenly your perspective shifts. This is called expanding your consciousness, growing as a being. And it's why we come to physical, is to expand our consciousness into a more sophisticated version of itself, which is what we are doing, which is what humanity is doing, which is what our planet is doing, which is what the entire universe is doing. It's one massive, endless wormhole of creation, of becoming a more sophisticated version of itself. That's expansion right there. Even scientists are aware that the universe is expanding, but the stream has filled in the blanks of exactly why and how that's happening. So we come for this expansive experience. And when we start allowing ourselves to view humanity, planet Earth, our lives, ourselves as source, meaning no judgment, we're eternal strands of consciousness here in physical having an experience. And we call it a temporary experience. Of course, the energetic realm doesn't operate in linear time, but we think that way. So I think it helps to say that this is a temporary experience. Our physical journey, as we perceive it, is going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this physical journey that we project into, our world has this collective belief system. There are variants of it for sure, but there's a common thread. And what I boil the common thread down, I love to find the root of things, because I find that when you find the root of something, you solve it. Because until you find the root of something, it's going to keep coming back again and again and again and again. So my intention was to find the root of that. Well, the root of the matrix that humanity runs on, the root is fear and judgment. That fear and judgment aspect that you find in almost every religion, in every culture, certainly, everywhere geographically, there's a fear and judgment element present that I call the matrix. We use that term, the matrix. And of course, the matrix then expands into other belief systems, but that root of fear and judgment, that root of fear that if you don't do whatever your culture tells you you're supposed to do, that you're going to suffer. The judgment of other people's experiences. Oh, they shouldn't be experiencing that. They're suffering and that's wrong. That shouldn't be. Or they're more successful than me and that's wrong and that shouldn't be. We see all of that in the matrix. The judgment of anyone else's journey is always of the matrix. The judgment of ourselves, that comparison that we talk about, that comparing ourselves to others and that comparing ourselves to what we've been told that we're supposed to be experiencing, that's fear and judgment. That's the root of the matrix. And if we are suffering in that, if that is holding us away from joy, then we're in the matrix. If we are believing that we have to do something, we're in the matrix. If we are believing that our lives are not worthwhile unless they look like XYZ, and notice that XYZ usually is in support of the matrix. You've got to get an education. You've got to obey the law. You've got to be the gender that you were assigned at birth. You've got to, for a very long time, the matrix was you've got to have a relationship with someone of the opposite gender, and you've got to reproduce children and make more believers of whatever our group is. And you've got to go to work for someone and support their matrix, or you've got to start your own business, but it's still part of the matrix. And then you've got to save and invest and buy a house and take on debt. And then you've got to retire, and then you've got to die. And that's what the matrix tells you that you've got to do. That's what life is supposed to be. But now we're seeing people really question all of that. We are collectively becoming so intelligent that we are questioning everything. We're questioning, gosh, why do we need these religions telling us these rules that we are now discovering were written by human beings? And we have these books that were rewritten by human beings, and it's said now to be gospel. Why are we paying attention to this? Why are we not paying attention to our own inner guidance? Why are we doing the things that we're told that we have to do, only to come to understand that it was all sort of a farce? If you are following social media these days, you see more people than ever questioning the matrix, the education system. I questioned that early on. I did not fit into, I was a dyslexic kid. I did not fit into the matrix of education. So they didn't know what to do with me. They literally didn't know what to do with me. And I had to become a self-taught person. And thankfully, I love being a self-taught person. I'm very curious. I want to figure things out. I want to go and dig and think and figure things out for myself. I've always been that way. So luckily, I was able to get myself out of that education matrix and do very well in life, even though I really didn't get past the 10th grade in school. And I really didn't even get to the 10th grade. I kind of schmoozed my way to the 10th grade, to be honest. But I did learn things. I picked things up. I was sort of amazed sometimes at the fact that I never did homework. I never really paid attention in class, yet I learned a lot of things nonetheless, just because I was curious. Sometimes I tuned in, sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I just absorbed what was around me. Well, that's what the matrix does. So we've got this matrix that is not all bad. It serves a purpose. It created a structure for us to get to where we are now in technology and in our ability to communicate and our ability to think. And it's been so successful that we don't need it anymore. We don't need the matrix anymore. We don't need the formal education system that's a one-size-fits-all system. Higher education, certainly, you can challenge that and question that. I am not a product of that. I'm in a relationship with someone that is a product of that, who has numerous advanced degrees and has the same opinion that really it's all bullshit. It's all the structure created to support the people that are profiting from it. Our system of currency is something that is very much a keystone in the matrix. Is that people want to earn money or make money or have money dropped in their laps, however it happens. They want money to come into their lives because it takes money to do everything in our world. So that's part of the matrix, that idea that you've got to have a lot of money coming in to experience what you want to experience as a human being, whatever that is, whether it's security or travel or beautiful homes or great experiences or whatever your thing is that you want to experience. It takes money in the matrix. And so you've got to do something to have a lot of money coming in. Well, that creates all of these structures. We're even seeing a lot of things now here in the United States about Congress. People are elected to office. They want to get in there. They want to stay in power. They do not want to, they want to stay in there forever without term limits. And it's because the longer they stay in, the more powerful they become. And we're seeing now how successful so many of them are at investing, because they have the power to affect business. And that we are seeing that they are, and we've known this for quite some time, but now it's really coming out in public, that so many of these people, and it's not a party thing, it's a politician thing, that they are able to invest and control the outcome of their own investments. It's called insider trading, but when you're in Congress, you get to do it and you get away with it. And so that's really what our political system is all about. And it's so easy to look at things like that and say, gosh, it's just, what's the point? Because it's the matrix. The matrix is BS. It is. It's all BS. It's all smoke and mirrors, because it's all illusion. Where we get ourselves into trouble is when we start judging. That should not be. We've got to fix this. We've got to change it. And that negative energy, that pushing against, gives it power. And that's true in our personal lives as well. Anything that we give negative energy to, anything that we really don't want, anything that we push against, we are giving more power to it. So in the giving more power to it, we are essentially focusing our attention on it is giving it life, because the universe only answers yes to everything. The universe is not a judgmental entity. The universe is not saying you're a good person, so we're going to give you good stuff, and you're a bad person, so we're going to give you bad stuff. My belief in karma is the law of attraction. If you feel guilty about something that you're doing, you're going to attract something back to you. And we all have source in us. And I think that there's enough source in us to where sometimes we do feel guilty about some of the lower vibrational things that we do, because we know that our source version would not do that. So we feel guilty, we attract something negative back to us, but it's still attraction nonetheless. The universe is not punishing us for anything. The universe is not rewarding us for anything. The universe is delivering on our vibration. And I have proven that to myself. I've seen people that I've worked with all over the world that have proven that to themselves. When they start changing their vibration, their lives transform, more positive things come in. And when they learn to truly trust that process, even when things seem like they're unraveling a little bit, because we're all operating in this high-low vibration, if you trust through that low period, everything always works out. It always does. And we've all proven that to ourselves now. So we get into the Tya practice, we start detuning our transgressors, we start detuning the negative aspects of our ego, and we start getting more clarity. And it's so easy to get sucked back into the matrix by demonizing it. That system is wrong, that system is bad, or this shouldn't be happening to me. That's how the matrix sucks us back in. So Tya is very different than anything else that I'm aware of, in that we become observers of the matrix in appreciation. We appreciate the fact that, hey, these people have figured out how to get themselves elected to office, and they're there for profit. They are in the matrix because they believe they have to have this flow of money coming in, and that's going to be their power, and that's somehow security. It's really fear-based if you think about it at the end of the day, that they believe that, and that's a belief system. So understanding that for every greedy politician, quote unquote, there is really a fearful ego at the root of that. There is. You wouldn't do those things if you didn't have fear of poverty, or fear of not being in power, or fear of not being able to experience the things that you want to experience, unless you get in and do all of these things, many of which they don't even believe in. We know that. We see politicians that transform into completely different people. I know one personally. I know someone right now that used to work for me, and she's running for office. She's running for a pretty high office right now. And this version of her that I've seen a few of her ads pop up just because she's in my contacts. I don't know who this person is. She's not the same person that I used to work with. She's completely transformed herself into, and I'm not judging her for it, but she's completely transformed herself into something different than what I knew, a different version of her. Maybe she's evolved as a being into that or whatever, but she's a very different person now running for office than the person that I knew 20 years ago. So it's interesting to see. It's interesting to observe how people do these things. And yes, if you can get yourself elected to high office in this country, and probably any country, it's a very lucrative gig, a very, very lucrative gig. So I can judge her for that, and I can demonize her for that, or I can simply appreciate she's an ambitious person. This is what she wanted. This is what she's obviously been led to pursue. And I just need to appreciate the fact that maybe I don't agree with what she's saying politically, but it doesn't matter. She's having her experience. And if I'm giving her power, meaning I'm looking at her thinking, oh my gosh, if she gets elected to office, it's going to be horrible for me and it's going to be horrible for people. Well, no, Source is not judging it that way. So why should I judge it that way? That would be a fear-based, egocentric experience to judge someone that way, to be fearful that someone getting elected to office is going to impact your reality. And then a lot of people say, well, not my reality, but what about everybody else? What about all the other people that they're going to bring harm to? Well, you're not standing in appreciation of other people's experience, of their journey. You're in judgment of it. You're saying that that path should not be for them, but you're not giving them enough credit, and you're not giving them the leeway to have their human experience. Source is not judging it. Our egos are judging it. The collective ego, the matrix, is judging it. Source is not. Tya is all about operating your life in a more source-like way, not being perfect, certainly, because Source is not about perfection. Source is very much about imperfection. Source is very much about go and mix it up, experience some things that you don't like, and create new from that experience that is unwanted. That's how expansion occurs. And Source is very aware of that. Source is very misunderstood because the matrix tells us that there's this judgmental being that is perfect and supreme that is delivering good things to some people and bad things to others. But that doesn't make any sense. There's no logic in that whatsoever. A non judgmental creative energy to me is far more logical. And I know when I tap into that, my judgment becomes detuned. When I tap into that source consciousness, I'm not judging anyone else's experience of, oh, you poor thing, that shouldn't be. You shouldn't be experiencing that. Oh, that's terrible. That's awful. The whole world is different in that source consciousness. And now I know that that's what people talk about. When I used to hear people talk about, 3D and 5D and moving out of 3D and all of that, that's it. That's it. That's being in this world that we're in now, not needing it to be perfect and being able to see it through the eyes of source for the beauty and perfection that it is, not seeing it as this awful, damaged, broken space. That doesn't mean that there are things that we're not going to observe and acknowledge that they're not our preference, but we can still appreciate them nonetheless. And in the appreciation of them, the energy is very different that's flowing to them than that powerful energy of judgment. That powerful energy of this should not be happening. They shouldn't be experiencing this. This is wrong. And it's so funny that we put all of this effort into battling and fighting what's wrong, and it never gets solved. It never gets solved. These things just keep festering and growing and going because we're giving it power with our negative focus. So if you want to start somewhere, start with what you want to detune in your life. What are you giving negative focus to in your life that sticks around? Notice that things do. Try appreciating that instead, appreciating exactly where you are, what you've manifested, the experience that you're in, and learn to find joy in your now, regardless of how it's judged in the matrix. It doesn't matter if you're poor or fat or old or sick or alone or any of those things that the matrix tells us we're not ever supposed to experience. When you learn to find authentic love for yourself, regardless of what the matrix tells you you're supposed to be doing, you're completely detuning all of that and just loving being. That's a whole different way of life, a whole different way of living your life. So that's a big step one into the Tya journey. And that's what we really dig into in the Tya experience. The Tya experience takes you through all three of these steps. But the step one of detuning the matrix and detuning your life's transgressors, all of that healing energy that you hear about, that's what true healing is the detuning of it. Forgiveness is not really detuning. Forgiveness is a nice rest stop on the way to detuning. It's certainly better than demonizing. But the forgiveness energy is still, you did something bad to me, it was wrong, and I'm going to choose to forgive you for it and move on and let you off the hook and not fester in this any longer. That is a higher vibration than this was terrible, this was awful, I was a victim, and this should have never happened, and I'll never get over this. Certainly, forgiveness is a higher vibration than that. Appreciation, however, is now I've allowed myself to see what that experience offered me in terms of expansion as a being. Very different than forgiveness, because then you actually appreciate it. Then you appreciate the transgressor. I had plenty of transgressors early on. I was born into a mother that told me she never wanted me, and at one point told me to kill myself. So if I can move to appreciating that, then we can move to appreciating anything. And I have worked with the most extreme situations known to humanity at this point with people coming through the Tya experience. And I have led people and witnessed people experiencing things in appreciation that you would never imagine that anyone would be able to appreciate. But it shifts the energy when they do that. It significantly shifts the energy, and all of that transgressor energy dissipates. All of that low vibration stuff that drags you down and actually negatively impacts your life, all of that dissipates. And your default vibration just goes higher and higher and higher when you make this a practice. So step one is that. So just to review, step one is detune the matrix. Step two, experience the wilderness. When we talk about experiencing the wilderness, you once you do this work, and you've done it long enough to where you've really detuned the matrix, you're experiencing joy in your now, and you're not needing anything anymore because you know how to be joyous without anything. And I know if you're in the matrix, and most people are, you're thinking, well, gosh, I don't want to be that. I want a mansion, and I want a Rolls Royce, and I want to travel the world, or I want to feed hungry children, or I want to, whatever it is you want to do. It doesn't matter. It's all really the same thing. It's things that you desire, and there's no judgment around desires. But if you're believing still that you have to have those things to be happy, and then, gosh, I don't want to listen to this bald dude telling me that I don't, need my stuff anymore. I want my stuff. Well, being in the wilderness is a state of not needing any of that stuff, to love yourself, to allow source to flow through you, and have the matrix completely be detuned. That wilderness is an interesting space because you don't need anything anymore. You realize, wow, I thought I needed all that stuff, or I needed all this admiration, or I needed all these followers, or all of this money, or to reverse aging, or get in the best shape of my life. I experienced all of that stuff. And all of it were nice experiences, but truly being out of the matrix is finding joy in any and everything. You see the world so differently, so very differently, and you have joy and admiration for the littlest things, but they're all day, everyday joy. You're not working towards something. You're not striving that you're finally going to be joyful when you have $1 million or $100 million or $1 billion, or you have a 10,000 square foot house, or you have the hottest partner in town, or you have the best body. You're no longer striving for any of that. You're learning to just love yourself and love your life experience exactly as it is. And then that's where the trust also comes in, because then you're also able, because you have this source consciousness of appreciation of all that is as your way of being. You also notice that well-being is natural, that you don't have to play in the matrix at all for well-being to be provided to you. Whatever your version of well-being is, whether it's your basic needs or a luxury lifestyle, it just flows in one way or another. And really, if you stop thinking about it altogether and just make your work loving all that is, it does flow in. I am a testament to that. There are other people in the practice that are living exactly that right now. They're not working, they're not striving, but their needs are met. They're living where they want to live and experiencing what they want to experience, and eating the food they want to eat, and having the interactions that they want to have. And they're not in the matrix at all. It's incredible. And I think we're just starting to scratch the surface of how powerful we really are once we fully detune the matrix, allow ourselves to experience the wilderness without getting drawn back in. Because the thing is that if you listen to our teachings, we talk about this vibrational flow all the time, that we're all operating in a polarized environment. As long as we're in physical, we're in polarity. We're not going to solve that because it's not to be solved. But it gives us this situation of vibrational flow, meaning there are days that our vibration is higher and there are days that our vibration is lower. And we're all very aware of it. We know that there's some days that we wake up, we feel great for no particular reason. We just do. And there are other days that we wake up and we feel not so great for no particular reason. Or things wake us up in the middle of the night and suddenly we're in a different vibration than we thought we were in when we went to bed. That's because we're operating in vibrational flow. And we're all aware of this. And that vibrational flow impacts our focus, because when we're in that high vibration space, it is so much easier, because we're up there in source territory. It is so much easier to just think of anything as possible. Maybe I'll start a business. Maybe I'll retire early. Maybe I'll take that trip that I've been putting off. Maybe I'll just have a fantastic day today, go for a walk, and go out and have these serendipitous experiences where everyone is suddenly friendly and traffic opens up for me and everything just works great. In that high vibrational space, that's how life is. But inevitably, polarity is going to pull our vibration down a bit. But how we experience that low vibration period is completely up to us. But when we're steeped in the matrix, and everyone is, we're born into the matrix. It's not, there's nothing wrong with being in the matrix. It's part of the human condition. So when you're in the matrix, though, that low vibration period can be very uncomfortable. Things don't work. You're kind of bumping into walls, and you're getting coffee on your shirt in the morning. You're getting stuck in traffic. You're getting these emails and notifications that you don't necessarily want. Things, unexpected expenses are popping up. These lower vibrational, unwanted things are coming into your path in that low vibrational state, and you're not as optimistic. You're not joyous there. You tend to be pessimistic there. You tend to think the worst. What's the worst thing that can happen? Oh my gosh, if I don't do this, this will happen. And think about how often that applies to money, health, and relationships, the three big ones, right? Those three things tend to spin us out. If I don't do this in this relationship, I'm going to be alone, or I'm going to be fighting with someone, or I'm going to be ostracized. If I don't do this regarding my health, I'm going to be sick, and I'm going to be fat, and I'm going to get old, and I'm going to have pain that I don't want to experience, or I'm going to be poor, I'm going to be broke, I'm going to be living under a bridge somewhere. I don't want to be the Walmart greeter at 70 because I don't have any savings. All of that fear-based stuff is the matrix. And when we go into low vibration, the matrix just really overtakes us. Well, what happens when we do this detuning work and we get out into the wilderness, that matrix takes a lot of time and really effort to detune. It really does, because we spend a lifetime creating our own matrix within the matrix, and it's a huge part of us. It's a massive vibration that we've got going on. And when we get out, we do all of this work and we get out into the wilderness, sometimes we get a little lax in our practice. We get a little lazy. We're not meditating every day. We're not, actively paying attention to where our vibration is. We're not actively looking for things to appreciate until that runs on autopilot. Maybe we're not quite in that autopilot stage of the Tya practice. And we get out into the wilderness, and it's sort of like, okay, I'm out here. I've detuned. I don't want anything. Now what? Do I just sit and be for the rest of my life? Well, no. You don't have to just sit and be for the rest of your life. The beauty of this practice is you don't have to bury your head in the sand and turn off the world. For a while, it's helpful to do that while you're in the detuning phase, while you're in this step one of detune the matrix. But you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay in this detuning. What you do is you get out into the wilderness and you keep practicing, and you understand that if you trust that these other opportunities are going to be presented to you, that you can manifest and you can experience anything and everything that you want. And you're creating your own matrix. Because here's the thing, you can detune the matrix. The matrix is a belief system. We all run on a belief system. It doesn't matter who you are, you're running on a belief system. If you're an atheist, you're running on a belief system. It doesn't matter. And that belief system might be consumerism. That belief system might be politics. That belief system might be wokeism at this point. That belief system could be a lot of things, but there is a belief system that's running your life that you're operating on. So you do all of this detuning of the matrix. So you're detuning fear and judgment essentially from your life. You get spit out of the matrix and you find yourself out in this wilderness space. Now there's no structure. No one's telling you what to think. No one's telling you what to do. This is why religions work so well, and why Tya is, it's in its infancy right now, because this idea of, wait a minute, no one's going to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing, what kind of relationship I'm supposed to be in, or what kind of career I'm supposed to be in, or what I'm supposed to want financially or business-wise, or what kind of house or car. I really just get to decide for myself and have an experience without needing it, without having to own it necessarily, because there's fear in that. There's nothing wrong with owning anything, but thinking that we have to lock things down, that there's fear in that too. So, we're detuning fear and judgment here. So if we're detuning fear and judgment, is needing to possess something for the rest of our lives, isn't that also rooted in fear? Meaning relationships. We are all programmed in the matrix that our relationship is supposed to be happily ever after, forever and ever and ever. Of course, we know that's not true because most of them don't end up that way, but some do. So what if we allow everything to just be an experience? I want to travel the world. There's still a lot of places, me personally, talking about having manifest so many things. I have manifested just about everything that anyone says they want to manifest. And I've demanifested it as well. But In the manifestation of it and the experiencing of it, I love that I had the experience. And I'm sort of the type of person that once I've experienced it, okay, what's next? I don't have to have this thing forever. I've downsized my home so many times and given away so many things that a lot of people would want to keep until the day they die. And it's because I don't have any fear. If something flowed into my life and it flows out, that just means something else is going to flow in. But it took time to get there to that space. So, speaking of the steps of Tya, step 3 is creating your own new matrix so that you have a system that you run on that is your chosen belief system. That Tya is not a religion. There are no rules. There's no worship. There's no judgment in the Tya practice. It's a mindset practice that delivers everything that you need to have this joyous life experience and an abundant. Tya stands for trust your abundance. Abundance means whatever you want to experience. So in the Tya practice, there's no rules though. There's no, you need to go to church every Sunday and you need to worship and you need to tithe 10% and you need to marry someone and stay married to that person. Some religions, you need to reproduce, other people. You need to do all of these things. Here's your rule book and you're not allowed to do these things and you are allowed to do those things. All of those rules provide structure that human beings fall into in the matrix, because otherwise you are out in the wilderness. That's why they work so well. And what we see happening generationally is the past few generations are not as willing to just follow the matrix that they were born into. How many people do you know, including yourself, that are practicing the same religion and belief system that their family culture practiced? More and more people now are saying, no, this isn't for me. This doesn't work for me. I'm going to go do something else. And if you look at your life experience and your belief system and how you operate, and then you look at your parents and realize how different theirs is, and then you look at your grandparents and realize how very different theirs is, that's because we're all products of our time. We're all born up to speed vibrationally with the time that we project in. This is why we have these contrasting relationships with our parents no matter what, because they are intended to deliver a certain contrasting experience to us, that they're meant to deliver positive and negative. The world is meant to deliver positive and negative to us because we do most of our fantastic creating that we do is a product of the negative things that we experience that we don't want to experience anymore. We want to feel better about them, think differently. We want to solve them. We want to move through. We want to have a healing process. And then when we have that healing process, then you realize when you're really healed, when you're really, really healed from something, then you realize what an asset that experience was. If you're still judging the experience, you're not fully healed and it's not detuned. It's still there and it's going to haunt you until you do. That's true for everyone, everything. So what we do in this practice is we systematically detune transgressors. We systematically detune our life's transgressors. We systematically detune the transgressors of the world. And as we do that, our vibration goes higher and higher and higher. And we start to find ourselves on this awakening journey. We understand what that means. We start to understand what it means to be beyond 3D. And then ultimately, we find ourselves out in the wilderness. And what's next? What do we do now? Now that we don't need a relationship to be happy, we don't need the perfect body to be happy, we don't need to be crushing it with the best health of our lives to be joyous. We don't need any of those things. All those things are nice. They're all nice things to experience. I've experienced all of those things. I get it. There's nothing wrong with wanting that stuff. But needing it to be happy, needing it to be joyous, needing it to be worthy of source, those are all the falsehoods of the matrix, all of it. So I'm just starting to see some, David, I see that you're on. So thank you for, hopefully I'm answering these questions. Vibrational dust, I see the question in here about vibrational dust. Depending on where you're watching, you may not see these comments coming up because I'm broadcasting to lots of places. Vibrational dust means you detune something, you think you've done the work, you think you've detuned it, you feel good about it for a while, and then you think you're done, and then it shows back up again. That is the gift of vibrational flow. The gift of vibrational flow, if you take nothing else away from this interaction that you're all investing time to watch, but the gift of vibrational flow is when you go down into low vibration, and we all do. Tya does not solve that. Nothing solves vibrational flow. Don't believe anyone that tells you they're going to solve vibrational flow. So that low, because low vibration has a great purpose. That low vibrational period gives you an opportunity to experience what's in your low vibration field. All of that transgressor stuff, all of that trauma from the past, all of these belief systems that you're not good enough, or you're not tall enough, or you're not pretty enough, or you're not wealthy enough, or you're not worthy of love, or that you are a magnet for losers, or whatever it is that you have in your belief system. The things that keep showing up again and again and again and again, those are signs of your belief system. And when you go into the low vibrational field, what pops up? What triggers you? You're not triggered in high vibration. You're only triggered in low vibration. You wouldn't be experiencing anything that's triggering for you unless you were already in a low vibrational flow. Don't judge yourselves for going into low vibrational flow. We all do it. It's natural. It's part of the human journey or any physical journey. That low vibrational flow gives us as intelligent beings an opportunity to examine what we have in our vibrational basement, what's down there in low vibration in our belief system that isn't serving our expansion. It's not serving our joy. It's certainly not helping us, allowing us to raise our default vibration, to have a more expansive experience day after day. Then the trick is when you're down there in that low vibration space and you're triggered and you see what's there, what's showing up down here. I'm fearful about money. I'm fearful about health. I'm judging my weight when I look in the mirror. I'm judging my aging. What's down there? What can be detuned? And immediately we train ourselves. You were trained to judge that stuff as negative. An infant is not judging the fact that it's bald. An infant is not judging the fact that it can't walk yet. It's not. It will discern a preference as it experiences the matrix, and that's not a bad thing. That's how we learn to walk and talk and do everything. But an infant is not sitting there, I'm not worthy because I can't walk. I'm not worthy because I don't have any hair. If only I had hair, my life would be so much better. Of course not. They haven't learned all of that crap yet. So they're really just enjoying and discerning preferences. And you know when they experience something they don't prefer because they scream, right? So that vibrational journey that we learn, we can unlearn. That matrix experience, that matrix teaching of you're not worthy, you shouldn't be experiencing this. And I talked earlier about always wanting to find the root of everything. Well, the root of all suffering is the vibration of this should not be. Anytime you're upset, anytime you're suffering, stop and think, I'm suffering right now because I'm judging this. I'm judging this as this should not be. I'm in physical pain and I think it shouldn't be, and I'm suffering because of my judgment of it more than the physical pain itself. So when vibrational flow takes us down and we see these things presented to us, these negative things that trigger us, that upset us, that are drawing us back into the matrix via fear. Oh, here's an unexpected bill. You better go work some extra shifts to pay that bill. Don't trust the universe. The universe is going to pay your bill for you. That's ridiculous. That's the matrix. The universe will pay your bills for you. I know it. I see it happen all the time. So when you have that presented to you, teach yourself to meet it in joy and appreciation for the clarity that it's providing. Now, I know when you're in low vibration, sometimes it's hard to remember what it's like even to be up. But when you're down there and that thing triggers you, or that thing upsets you, or that thing scares you, it sparks fear and judgment in you. Catch yourself. Oh, I'm in low vibration. I'm just DTS. I'm down the spiral right now. I'm in low vibration. That's why I feel this way. And what's showing up? Fear about money. Here it is again. My bank account's empty again, and payday is 2 weeks away. What am I going to do? Well, maybe I should appreciate the clarity that I'm receiving here. That I have fear around money that's creating this money lack situation. Let me just appreciate that I'm clear and appreciate the fact that I've been here before and I survived it. I've been here before. I got really creative and I figured out how to survive and move through that experience. And here I am still drawing a breath. I'm still on earth. I'm still human. I'm still experiencing this experience that I came to have. So why am I afraid again? Why am I reacting in fear and judgment? Because I have been trained to do so. How many commercials do we hear every day? If you don't save and you don't have, everything's about money and not having enough. And if you don't, you're going to suffer and it's going to be awful and it's going to be terrible. We're programmed to think that. So when you stop thinking that and stop believing that, then you can experience it differently. Well, here I am, DTS. Here I am being triggered. Thank you for the clarity of this trigger. I appreciate the clarity. And what happens is your vibe starts going up in appreciation automatically. Source is saying, yes, appreciation. That's us. Come this way. And your vibe goes up. When your vibe gets above neutral, if you haven't studied the vibrational spiral yet, we do lots of teachings on that as well. But when you get above neutral, suddenly you're back into source territory. And now you're actually capable of new thought and new creation. So you're in this territory now where you can you're feeling better in the moment. Instantaneously, you're feeling better. That heaviness is just lifted and dissipated. And you're thinking, gosh, I'm back up here with source now. I feel better. Well, the matrix leads us to then forget all about what dragged us down. Don't go back there. No, you don't want to think about that. You just want to feel better. You just want to feel better in the moment, and that's enough. But here's the thing. If you don't, from that higher perspective, look back at what dragged you down, what triggered you, you're not solving it. It's just waiting for the next time you go into lower vibrational flow. It's going to show up again. We all have this. Until we've authentically detuned something, it does show back up again. That's vibrational dust. We think we've cleared it all out. We've cleared all that vibration out of our basement, but there's some dust left behind. There's fragments, there's particles of that vibration that's still there, and it can come back to life as long as it's there. But it's possible to completely detune. That's what the Tya experience is all about. You get into that experience and you learn to completely detune transgressors. And you learn how to do it as a lifestyle for the rest of your life, because you will. But detuning transgressors is work, but it becomes very joyful work. Now, when something triggers me, and it's very rare that it does, but when something does, I love the clarity. Oh my God, there's a trigger. There's something else lurking in my vibrational basement that I now get to detune, because I'm not fearful. I'm not judgmental. I'm meeting it in joy. I'm going to raise my vibration and appreciation. And then the first thing I'm going to do is go back and work on that trigger from that higher vibrational perspective so that I can clear it out so that it's not there to trigger me anymore. I don't enjoy being triggered. I don't know anyone that really does. Maybe somebody, not me. So if you don't like being triggered and you don't like your emotions being batted all over the place, understand that vibrational flow is a natural state of being. Your reaction to it, though, is your own matrix. It's your creation. So you do this work, you do these first two steps, you detune the matrix, you find yourself out in the wilderness, and you start thinking, gosh, what's next? What's next? So just to share a couple of the comments. I love this one from Lisa. Good to see you on here. Lisa's been listening since 2018. She says she's amazed at what she needs to be reminded of. That's the practice. That's the practice. This is life. We didn't come here to cross a threshold of perfection, be all fixed, and okay, I'm going to be a perfect being. I'm enlightened now. I'm going to be a perfect being forever. For the rest of my human life, I'm never going to experience a problem again. I'm just going to manifest everything that I want. Well, where's the expansion in that? Where is the growth in that? Where's the experience in that? Because after a little while, if you just have everything that you want all the time, that just becomes boring. And inevitably, we're going to create some new problem in our lives to solve so that we do have the opportunity to expand. Everyone does. That's why every guru seems to have a scandal, right? You get to that guru space where everyone's listening to you as a guru, and you're putting yourself out there as this perfect enlightened being, and suddenly something comes out that isn't so guru-like. And I have always said from day one, I'm not a guru. I'm not perfect. Don't think that for a second. I figured a lot of things out, and I've learned a lot of things, and I love teaching them. But my life sure as hell is not perfect, and I'm the first one to share any imperfection on my podcast. I love doing that because I don't want to give the impression that this practice or anything in the human experience is about crossing some threshold where we're now perfect. We know everything. We're enlightened. I know a lot of people present that side of themselves. I call that the Instagram life, where you really see the best of the best. but it's bullshit. It's not real. Everyone has problems. Everyone has spinouts. Everyone has vibrational flow. How we choose to react and how we choose to experience that is night and day, though, in and out of the matrix. There is in and out of the matrix, and you can get out of the matrix. You can do this work, move yourself out of that matrix where you're no longer operating in fear and judgment, where you do know how to raise your default vibration, where you do know how to allow life to get better and better and better and better and better. And you're working on it all the time. That's why we have created this community for everyone, so that we have a space where everybody can come and do their work when they want to. And when they don't, they can exit and then they can come back. A lot of people exit and then come back. I learned all of this. My life got better. I kind of got a little lax in my practice, and now I'm coming back. I see that all the time. I'm coming back in. I want to learn more Tya stuff because I see what it does for me. I see the value in it. And that's why I love teaching this all over the place, because this practice is so incredibly life-changing, and the transformation is your own unique journey. And the transformation is going to be all about detuning all of the crap that you've allowed yourself to absorb, as we all did throughout a lifetime. And now you're learning to let go of that stuff and release it and detune it and heal from it. And I don't even like the word heal. People like the word heal. I don't like that so much because there's a little victim vibe there. We are detuning, we are solving, and there's some healing energy in that. But I don't want to get into that, oh, I need to heal because I was a victim of something. We're all about claiming ownership of every aspect of our lives. It's so damn empowering to do that. It's so incredibly empowering to no longer feel like a victim about anything, even things that happen in early childhood. I don't feel like a victim. I feel like I'm an eternal strand of consciousness that projected into a set of parents that really didn't want me as a child. And that presented this fantastic opportunity for me as a strand of consciousness to expand in the moving through that experience. For me, the best possible parents I could possibly have is a father that took off when I was 6 and a mother that didn't want to be a parent at all ever, and certainly not after he left. So I was left to my own devices, but being left to my own devices turned out to be this really amazing thing. And we can all look at things like that. Absolutely all look at things like that. So to wrap up the 3 steps, again, I'll kind of go back to the banners. The first one is all about detuning the matrix. The detuning of the matrix is detuning your life's transgressors, detuning all of the fear and judgment that we're taught in life across humanity. And that creates this raising of your vibration, allowing more source connection, and absolutely allowing what you might call an awakening experience. It's life-changing just to detune the matrix. Step 2 is experiencing the wilderness. Getting out there and kind of thinking, okay, I've detuned the matrix. I'm not in that belief system anymore, but I'm going to default to some belief system. What is that going to be? Because I need to run on a belief system. We all do. We operate on a belief system. So number 3 is creating your own matrix, creating the matrix that you want to experience. And then the key to all of that is to be an observer in appreciation and return to a 3D ego state of consciousness, those types of desires without need. So observing the matrix in appreciation as opposed to judgment, understanding that as soon as we step out of the matrix and we look back at it, we think, oh, look at all those poor people, those fools that are in the matrix, and they're operating in fear and judgment. They're judging me and they're fearing. And as soon as you judge that as wrong or stupid or bad or shouldn't be or any of that stuff, you're really getting drawn right back into the matrix because you're not appreciating them. You're not appreciating for them being on a different place in their journey than you are, and appreciating that they serve a purpose in this matrix. And how glorious it is that you have figured out how to step out of it. But stepping out of it is about appreciating everything that's in it. That's a huge difference. Just like I talked about politics earlier, appreciating Congress, appreciating your government if you're not in the United States, appreciating your government for the corruption that it is, instead of demonizing it. Because that appreciation of it, that's just the matrix. Everything is a matrix. Everything is. Everything is an illusion of consciousness, and it's really rooted in your opinion of it. So you have a negative view of something. For you, that thing's going to be negative. You have a positive view, it's going to be positive. Well, there's more transgressor energy in that negative view, and it's a transgressor for you, and your energy is feeding it. So that's why we don't demonize or judge anything, because source isn't judging anything. So we as human beings, why should we operate as anything other than source? We all have source in us. We can be that source creation of all love, no judgment, all appreciation all the time. We can. And we can move through vibrational flow as that source like being. It doesn't mean that we completely detune our ego. Our ego is still there, sort of driving us through the life experience. And our ego will observe things that it wants to experience. I want to travel. I haven't been to the Amalfi Coast. I want to experience that. It's something that I have that, but this little saying, wouldn't it be nice when I want to manifest something? But I don't need to manifest it. I have no need to manifest anything. I don't need it to happen next week. Wouldn't it be nice to experience that while I'm in physical, is to go and explore the Amalfi Coast? Wouldn't that be nice? I apply that to everything. Every aspect of life now is, that would be nice, but I'm happy now. I'm good now. I am in a good spot where I love myself and I love all that is, and I'm loving my vibrational flow. I'm not operating in perfection, certainly, but I love the perfection of imperfection. I love what the imperfection is revealing to me. I love doing the work. So those are the 3 steps to the Tya practice. That's the best guidance that I can give. If you're interested in learning more about Tya, you can visit our website, which is thestreamofdavid.com, and there's a whole page over there on Tya. I have a banner, but I can't find it, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. So visit thestreamofdavid.com. You can also Google the Tya practice, TYA. It stands for Trust Your Abundance. You can learn a lot more about it. We have a podcast called The Stream of David. You can catch us there as well. I hope you enjoy these teachings. Thank you all so much for watching.